So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called When People Rise: HR Secrets for Small Business Growth, Success, and Legacy. Before I introduce Heather and Ben to you, I just want to say a huge thank you to our lead author, Susan Mahaffee. Susan, I have so much gratitude for you. You had such a big vision and mission with this book, and you have gathered around you a stellar group of experts to talk about all of the topics under HR. I'm very, very excited to be speaking with two of your co-authors today on this, but thank you so much for, saying yes to this project and wanting to really change the world with it. So I have Heather Archer with me. She's a professional speaker and creator of The Promotion Equation, a program to help professionals increase praise and promotion by pausing and setting boundaries confidently. Also got Ben Madden here. He's the founder of HR Action and a fractional HR leader who helps growing companies bring clarity, consistency, and structure to how their managers make people decisions. Thanks to both of you for saying yes to this project, for being here today. Heather, I'm going to start with you. Give us a little bit of the why behind the chapter that you wrote.
The why comes from two places. One was sort of hidden to me for many years, and that was I was doing work that I didn't want to do, and I knew I didn't want to do it, but I had no skill set to diplomatically decline the things that I didn't want to do. So I would get angry, or when I said no, it was bridge burning, career limiting kinds of damage. And that was just happening, and I didn't really pay attention to it. It's just the way it was. And then my daughter got into, her first professional job, and she started heading down that path of saying yes to everything, trying to help everybody, and it very quickly was becoming evident that it was not sustainable. And amazingly enough, when I started helping her work through how to diplomatically decline, how to assess what you should and shouldn't do, I all of a sudden realized that was my problem in a slightly different flavor. And so helping her helped me. And then I just had that epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, we're not the only two people in the world suffering from this. So I can put this into something that could go forward and help lots of other people.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so listen, you're being vulnerable and telling us that story about yourself, how it was first, and you, of course, easily can look back and sort of see what you were saying and how you're behaving. But this takes other level awareness to look at that, and then I think in another even level to decide to do something about it, to just, I don't know, um, be kind of humble and say, hey, I got some work to do. Like, tell us more about that awareness process for you.
It's hard because a lot of times we want to be that person who can help everybody. And we just, none of us have infinite bandwidth. None of us have infinite time or energy. So we're trying to do everything. And then we're beating ourselves up when we get tired or sick or can't do it. And it's just a vicious circle that just keeps going and going until we stop and say, you know what, actually, my time should be reserved for me first. And then once I've sorted myself, I've got myself in a good, healthy place, then I can start specifically helping other people. Not everybody in the world, because that's not how we're designed, but specific people that I can help, that I can enjoy helping, that I can see the ramifications of, and things like that. And once you start intentionally saying yes instead of just default yes, it starts to, the spiral goes the other direction, and it starts to feed you, I think, in a healthy way.
mean, yes, it's a game changer, you guys. I hope y'all rewind and just listen to her say that last little bit again, because this is game changing, right? We need to be able to serve from an overflowing cup. You cannot not prioritize yourself, or you're going to burn out. Like, it's pretty simple. Heather, thank you, for being a part of this, for sharing today. We're going to hear more from you in just a minute. Ben, I'm coming to you with the why question. Give us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Absolutely. So this book really comes from my experiences of being an HR department of one, where you're really trying to influence decisions at a leadership level when you may not always have that formal authority. A big part of this was learning how to have those better conversations, how to get leaders aligned, how to frame the work, and how to create clarity around the messaging. What I've realized over time is that that clarity alone wasn't enough. So you can have these great conversations, but if the decisions still vary, the system breaks under pressure. So, the more my work has evolved, the more I have seen that taking that clarity and turning it into consistency truly helps drive forward when you may not always have that level of authority, and when you may have to rely on both being wholly in the weeds as well as trying to be up at that 1,000-foot level.
I really, there's so many things here. First, communication. Like, when you all start to talk about better communication, you're already talking about world changing kinds of topics. And I love that part. But, clarity isn't enough. Caught me there for a minute. You went from clarity to consistency. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So, clarity when leadership has a full, true understanding of where the direction is going, that's clarity. Consistency is when that is done across the board. So manager to manager make those same decisions and are able to consistently make sure that that clarity is kept across the board. Things really start to break as you start having different managers at different locations or even within different teams make decisions differently based on information that they have. So the more that we drive that clarity and that clear message to be consistent across the board, the better off the organization is to be able to move forward as a whole.
This is it, you guys. This may sound so basic, but it is so profoundly foundational. And you're making me think of my own situation with a very small team. But even between the three of us, if we haven't communicated the same thing, like how we're going to do a process or do a system that we use every day, and then one person decides to make a change, and then it's like, oopsie, and the inconsistency creates issues. I mean, it just automatically creates the issues. So yes, I love this topic. Really, a big thank you again to both of you for being involved in this, but both of you also took up the challenge to put a vulnerable story in the book to help us get to know you and trust you as the expert that you are. And I'm grateful, to you guys. There's these beautiful stories in the book, but then you're going to step up in the next part of these chapters with master teachings. And you all have been around a minute. You've done things in this topic, and you guys, imagine having a book full of experts and coaches who can help you prevent the mistakes. Every single one of their chapters is like that. I got golden nuggets throughout the entire book. Ben, I want to stay with you for a minute for this next one. Like, when it comes to the topic overall, personally, like, what do you think your biggest lesson has been?
So it's really trying to focus this down. Before the book, I didn't have this sort of written out process. It just sort of was intrinsic with me. So having the chance to sit back and reflect about what makes the most sense, where I feel like I have the most impact within organizations when I was internal or now with my clients, it really was this simple framework of how I try and shift the questions, the way I frame discussions to really focus on the business mission versus the people side of it, and then really hone it down, was one of those most critical pieces that I feel like I bring. So if I can bring this to more HR folks, if I can really help build that next generation of successful HR leaders and business leaders, then I've done something right.
That's for sure. Do you remember, when you started off, and maybe the conversation didn't go so well and you realized, like, I think I'm going to have to do that differently. You remember a moment?
I mean, every day in the first early part of my career,
Of
stepping
course.
in
Yeah.
as an HR consultant when you're 22, 23, knowing nothing, and being expected to have all the answers really makes you learn how to change those discussions. And it's that's the point where you learn that you need to have a different way to tackle questions, to tackle getting your message across when you don't have the lived life experience to say, I know how this works. I've seen this movie before. This is where we're going.
I love that, Ben. All right, Heather, I'm coming over to you with this lesson question. Like, when you think back to all you've learned in this topic, what do you think your biggest lesson was?
There has, in the moments when I have either said yes too often or said no in a very abrupt way, there's rarely any benefit from it. Right. At first you think, oh, okay, saying yes to this is good, and yes to that is good, and yes to that. And then they start to pile up, and whatever good may have come from each individual one, it gets diluted by the fact that you are so busy doing so much. And the skill of being able to diplomatically decline anything is, I've had people thank me for diplomatically saying no to them, literally, because I now can do it so well that they literally go, oh, that was lovely, thank you for that, I appreciate you. Oh, and you're like, I just told you no, I couldn't do that thing, and you're okay. And realizing that skill set is beneficial to people, and when done correctly is comforting, I suppose, in a way, is reassuring in a way, is also has been life changing. And I realize now that people ask for my time in way more ways than I in the business setting. Do you want to go to this restaurant? No. Do you want to go to this play? No. Do you want to, do this other thing? And I the demands on my time now are so much more obvious to me. And if there's even a slight inkling of, no, I just really don't want to do that, I don't. And I thank them for the invitation, and I tell them no.
Yeah, I've
And
heard clear is kind. And
yes,
I'm also not, you haven't said it yet, but I'm having an idea that a lot of us say no with apology. And
yes.
this is, yeah, tell me, what do you want to say about that?
Well, and we feel bad for standing up for our own time and our own energy, when really, and we'll go back to the work setting. A lot of times when people ask you to do something, it's not because you're the amazing best person to do it. It's because they don't want to do it. And so then we end up apologizing for saying no for something they just didn't want to do either.
Yeah,
So nobody wants to do it.
that
And
exactly. That's not
that's
going to work.
okay. Yeah.
Um, you guys are so awesome. All right, I've got this one more question for both of you. Heather, I'm going to stick with you on this one. And I really want to give you all a chance to talk directly about what's in your chapter. So here it goes. What do you think the most important thing you want people to know is about your stop doing everyone else's work, right? That comes right from your chapter title. How setting boundaries gives you purpose. Like if you were going to tell us the most important nugget about setting those boundaries, what do you think it would be?
You have to see the demands on your time as actual demands on your time. So often they waft through like smoke, and we're not aware of them, we're not intentional about them. We just automatically say yes to them, and we don't realize how many times other people come after us to get us to do things, to take our time and our energy and so forth. So really just, I call it, it's naming the elephant. It's really being aware of, oh wow, that person just came and asked me to do something, whatever it was. Because once you start realizing how often that happens, then you start realizing how often you say yes. And now you start to realize why it is you're so tired and exhausted and busy and whatnot. So it really, really starts with just seeing or making visible what is invisible in everybody's life.
To our listeners, backing that up, if you can catch this earlier in the game, you will be 1,000 steps ahead later. And you're giving me a little aha right now about it because, man, I was bad at that in the beginning. I think a lot of us are, but like maybe some of you hearing this today, you're starting on this journey and you can be discerning now, even if you have some space of time around you. But to practice that now, Heather, it's like, yeah, awesome. Okay, Ben, what's the most important thing you want us to know about using conversation to drive real change? This is right from your chapter title.
It truly is getting the clarity around where and how the organization is going. The more that that clarity is built, the more that you're able to say, okay, this is the problem we're trying to solve. And now here are the things that I in people operations need to do. And you in finance need to do to really drive that is critical. If we can't get to the root and the heart of it, we're going to have no ability to make any influence on what we're doing because we need to ensure that truly we have that ability to speak the same language and have that same understanding.
Earlier, you were saying when you frame discussions, you're starting with the mission and then moving down to the people.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I got that right, but correct me if I didn't. But I don't, I, we don't often think that way to let that be the frame all the time. And I feel it now that this one little tweak will change everything. Like this one little tweak, if it's consistent, like we keep saying the word consistent, yeah, game changer. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, getting to the root of it first gives you in HR that power, as opposed to saying we need to hire better. It's understanding where that is. So it truly gets to the objective that you're trying to solve, not just this is what HR does, because you lose that power when you frame everything in an HR world by, it's the idea that if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But if you can really change that toolbox to be able to say, this is what I'm trying to solve, and then these are the things that we need to do in the people side that change, you are really then showing the power that HR can bring. And it really shows that HR is strategic and not the reactive side that for many of us has sort of been the world that we've lived in throughout the course of sort of the early parts of HR.
Ben Madden, Heather Archer, thank you both so
Thank
much for
you.
what you do in the world. Thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. This is way more than a book, you guys. This is a generous community of experts. And so they're ready. Maybe you heard something today that gave you the goosebumps or is making you want to ask a question. Just scroll down to the show notes. Both of our authors are hooked up there with their websites and links, and reach out, explore what they're up to. They are amazing people and are ready for those questions and can give some of that support. Of course, we would love for you to hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this amazing book, right? The link is down below. Lastly, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.